Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to The Artist Prepares. I am your host, Mr. J the Actor. My next guest coming to the stage is all the way from Moss Point, Mississippi. She's an actress who's had the luxury to perform on stage, film, and television, who's most recently created an opportunity to work behind the camera and has produced for both film and television. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mrs. Whitney Kaye.
Thank you, thank you.
How you doing?
I'm good. Just, staying safe, stand 6 feet apart from everybody during this interesting pandemic. How about you?
I'm good. I'm staying safe as well. Not very different
That's
nowadays.
important.
Everything has changed.
Yeah,
You get ready to hop on the
definitely
car,
that.
get some gas, but dang, I ain't even got my mask. Feel like
Yeah,
you
you
gotta have
gotta have some masks or gloves at least.
exactly. Cool. So I am so excited to have you here. Uh, one of my fellow SCAD alumni. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
we're gonna have some fun. So I hope you are prepared to have some fun today because we're gonna get into it.
I am. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me here on your show.
Cool. So, you and I are both, we're actors. So,
Yeah.
in order for actors to really get going, we got to get a little warm ups. So I
Those
got
icebreakers.
little icebreakers, little rapid fire questions. The first couple are just gonna be some word association. So, when I give you the word, just give me the first thing that comes to mind when you hear it. Okay? All right. First one, happiness. What comes to mind when you hear happiness?
Joyful, smiling, laughter,
Okay, okay. I see you. Fame.
reality TV.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Okay, so what had happened was, no, I have a guilty pleasure. I kind of got my husband caught up in it, but we just got through watching Housewives of Potomac.
oh,
Um,
oh
it
yeah.
is really interesting, and it's funny. Like I used to watch it, and then I stopped. I was just like, oh, I don't like what it's turned into. But then, like, somebody got me on, and I got caught up, and we just watched the reunion, and so I'm like, wow, this is interesting. So
Okay, okay. I like it. I like it. Broadway comes to mind when you hear Broadway.
Broadway, I think really talented actor. Those are the legends.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
have nothing but respect for them.
Right.
A lot of hard work.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Struggle,
What was that struggle?
struggle.
Whew,
Dun, dun, dun.
my journey.
Really? Really? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna talk
Yeah,
about that.
definitely.
Okay.
Oh, we will.
Woman.
Strength,
Mm,
vibrant,
mm,
beautiful.
okay, okay. So you're an artist, and when it's time for you to get in your zone, right? I know people have different
Mhm,
things they do. If you listen to music,
mhm.
right, what is a song that's gonna get you in your zone as you're preparing?
Oh, well, I have a whole playlist actually.
Mm,
Yeah, actually, it's really funny. I can't really listen to music with lyrics when it comes to focusing.
really?
I listen to classical music, yeah, or scores from movies. That gets me going. So I'm a different type of I love all types of
Interesting.
music. Except metal's maybe not my thing. I grew up listening to country and gospel. I'm from Mississippi, but I think I got burnt out on the country part. So it's, yeah, I actually have a whole playlist called Study and Focus, and it's a list of musical like scores from movies and television shows, and just like classical music going back to Beethoven. And I like a little jazz too. So stuff like that.
Okay, okay, I like it. All right, so you have an option. Someone gives you an option, right? You can be in a movie, and it can
Okay.
be either a Tyler Perry movie or a Spike
Hmm.
Lee movie? Which one are you picking?
I gotta go with Spike Lee. I love I don't know, like, I would love to be in a Tyler Perry movie too, but I don't know, like, I feel like Spike Lee goes into more depth when it comes to actually delivering the message, and, um, he has a way of, like, really getting to you, right? I've watched, some of his films where it really left me thinking about it after. And when I'm just in like awe and I have to like sit down and ponder and really think about something, I feel like the whole production, as far as like the writer, the producers, the actors, like they did their job telling the story because I I'm not gonna say I find it rare, but a lot of entertainment today, like it's entertaining and it's fun, right? It's
Mhm.
cool, like it brings out those emotions or reactions from the audience. But when you have something that actually makes you think about something, or you want to look into historical facts and you want to learn about it, I
Yes.
feel like that is the true definition of what telling a story is, regardless of whether it's
Talk about it.
facts or fiction. So
Hey,
that's just me.
y'all hear that, kids? Tell the story. I always tell my acting students and anybody I work with, the story is much more important than anything else. If you can tell the story, everything else
Absolutely.
falls into place. Okay.
Definitely.
You're a well-versed actress. You know, you've acted on stage as well as on film. Which would you say is harder, film acting or stage?
Oh my God. Stage all day.
Really?
Absolutely.
Tell us about
Yeah, it just takes a lot, like both processes, right? It's a lot of work that goes into both, right? But like it is so much more pressure when the audience is there and you can listen for the reaction. And on top of that, like if you mess up, you got to keep going. It's no cut or takes there.
it.
So,
Let you the whole time.
and yeah, and I feel like with theater, like is a lot more intimate and I don't know, like it's just a lot more work and digging within your soul to like really deliver and bring it and
Oh, yeah.
like really kill it. You can't be mediocre
Nah.
doing
You said
theater.
it.
And I
Okay.
have nothing but respect
Yes.
for
Okay.
theater actors. I honestly feel like some of the best actors that are in our film industry, they come from such a strong theater background.
Yes. And they tell you that too. Even if you look at
Absolutely.
your Denzels, your Viola Davises, your Samuel L's, they always say, stage is what made me. They always say,
Absolutely.
stage is what made me who I am. So yeah. So shout out to all those stage actors out there. We love y'all. I'm one of them. So
All respect.
here we go. I got another one for you. All right.
Okay.
If you had the opportunity to remake any film, so you can think of any film that you like, and you were like, you know what, I can see myself in it, right? But you're the star in this film. What
Okay.
film would it be? It could be any movie, anything.
Oh, I got to think about this one.
Oh yeah, I know that's kind of a tough one because there's so many movies and there's so many things that you want to do as an artist. But
Well, I've always wanted to do something similar to this might be considered a timepiece actually, but Eve's Bayou. That's one of my favorite movies.
I can
Um,
see you, Eve. I can see you,
yeah,
Eve. Yeah.
yeah, even my mom, like, it was kinda weird, I love you, mom, but she was like, "You just have that old person spirit, that and that timely look, like that classic look," and I never really understood what that meant, but when I actually, like, saw different pieces in movies, like, I don't wanna play a slave, but I would absolutely love to play um a timepiece that's maybe in like the 40s, the 50s. I love the fashion, I love the stories. I love the history behind it. A lot of it's painful, right? But I feel like as a storyteller, you're also teaching. And another thing, not to get off subject too much, but
Hey, this is your show.
history
Go ahead. Go ahead.
in school was my favorite subject.
Okay.
So to make it more interesting, I feel like telling a story based off historical facts or, and the story doesn't necessarily have to be like nonfiction,
Mhm.
but things that are relevant in that time, like from how people spoke to the fashion to like the food that they ate,
Mhm.
the jobs that they had, what the relationships was like, what those communication, what the communication was like, with marriages, friendships, like things are so different now. So I just really want to go back into history and
Me
like really be able to tell that story. So yeah, I absolutely would love to do a timepiece. So yeah, Eve's Bayou.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what has been the best advice you receive as an actress? Because we know we
Oh
usually get
gosh.
a lot of bad advice, a lot of negative things. What are some of maybe some of the thing, or maybe even something that even stuck with you?
Okay. So actually this came from one of my acting coaches,
Mhm.
and uh they basically told me that it is not a race, it is your journey.
Yes.
You cannot compare yourself to other people, although it's going to be extremely easy to do that,
Mhm.
but focus on what steps you're taking to better yourself, to get to where you need to be. So I think that that's very important, and not just as far as like acting, but just in life in general, Um, like just, focus on me, Whitney doing Whitney, right? And and although I might not be moving as fast as someone else, and on top of that, who am I to say how fast their journey was? I don't know what they went through to get to where they are today, right?
Mm.
So I just feel like maybe having that tunnel vision on what my goal is. What am I doing to reach that?
Yep.
What time am I investing in myself? What am I doing to better myself as a person and an artist,
Mm.
right? So I feel like that all comes together
Yeah.
with following what I need to do to go through my journey and reaching my goals.
I mean, it's very easy to fall into that trap of looking at other people comparison, especially with social
Man,
media now, because half of it is true, and the other half you don't know what to believe. But it's more
right,
about showing people, look how successful I am. I've
right.
always been a bigger fan of just doing the work. Like I'm gonna do the work, and you'll know me by my work. And
I
so
like that.
I've never really tried to focus on anything else besides saying, look, if you know Jay Weeks, you know he gonna work. If you ask him to do
Right.
something, if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do the work. So I've always tried to focus on the work. And what I
Mhm.
found over the years is that once you do the work, people know you by the work. And you,
Oh
you
yeah.
might do something, 5 years later, they be like, hey, didn't you do such and such? Or, such and such said they work with you and you were really like, yeah, okay, cool. But once you kind of focus on that work, it allows you, like you said, to have that tunnel vision because it's so easy, especially in our realm, right? You see a friend
Hmm.
that they're doing something, you're like, wow. And they may even be starting after you or at the same time. And you're like, well, dang, what am I doing if this person is doing that? So sometimes it can be an easy slope to just go right down there and look at yourself. And now you're looking at yourself like, I ain't done nothing. But you've
Definitely.
done 3, 4, 5 films, you've done commercials, you've done all different things, whether they be small or large. And I always
Exactly.
try to encourage my other artists as well as myself, like, celebrate your wins because you celebrating those wins will carry you over for those moments when you feel like you're not doing anything or you have a gap where you take a break or okay, I'm not doing anything right now because I'm focusing on something else or whatever. But if you can
Mhm.
celebrate those wins and remember those times, yo, I did do that. Take a picture, look at it. Hey, I remember when I did this play. I remember I done this film or whatever. That will help you in those moments where you feeling like, man, I ain't done nothing. God, late.
Right.
Oh, like, got this degree, went to this illustrious school and all this, nothing. But hey, it's gonna be all right. So yeah, so shout,
Definitely.
shout out to you for the rapper. You feel warmed up now?
Thank you. Thank you.
You feeling warmed up now?
Oh yeah, like I'm good and warmed up. I love talking about what I have a passion for. So it's been a minute since I've actually had this type of conversation with anyone. So
Okay.
it's just refreshing. It's really nice.
Cool. So I found something on the internet
Hmm.
and I think this is you. But you can let me know if this is your words. So I'm just gonna read a quote that I have from you, and
Okay.
we can talk about it afterwards. It says, "I want to take different opportunities to grow closer to where I really want to be. I've always wanted to act for theater and television. My dreams are to become a part of the elite circle in the entertainment industry, whether it is being on camera or behind the production, building the project. Print model is another thing I find myself interested in becoming more familiar with. Practice makes perfect. And with a network like this, I can meet people and model for various projects. At the end of the day, I want to entertain people and bring stories to life." So, my question is, are you a model?
No. It's something that I was very interested in, even going back. Oh my God, like I did local fashion shows, like runway shows when I was like, I think 11. So
Mhm.
I've been taking like headshots and pictures and like I love it. Like I love dressing up. I love getting into character. And
Downplaying
I
it.
don't
You
know, like
don't
it's
tell nobody. We got an
it
exclusive, y'all.
kind of
Don't want to tell nobody. Nah, go ahead.
but no, I don't know, like I just don't necessarily want to put myself in one box.
I got
If I can basically do what I love, one way by modeling, and modeling has motivated me, or taking my doing my photo shoot. I'm gonna say model. I'm not a professional model, but why not? Yeah, I model. I'll just say that.
Have you done it?
And so
Model, what do you mean? Stop
yeah, like what?
the labels. You have you modeled before? Yes.
Yeah, I actually have. There was one. I will say that I didn't necessarily like the attitude
Okay.
behind a lot of it, and I think that's why I didn't choose that path dominantly, because I actually auditioned for a modeling gig
Okay.
and took pictures. It was like my first shoot. I think I was modeling like lingerie or like a swimsuit. It was like a bunch of different, gorgeous women or whatever. But
Okay.
because I wasn't shaped or the size that they would portray, like basically I got a generalized email basically saying that I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't good enough, and this is why they chose these people. It was for a magazine, yeah. And so all I could really do was laugh at it, because I'm like, first of all, I'm not starving myself for anyone. Like, do you need to be, um, diligent and, and strict about your health? Yes, I'm all about my well-being and being healthy,
Yes.
but I'm not being a size zero for anyone. So let's just make that
Let's
clear.
get it out the way.
So yeah, definitely. So it's like when I find my own opportunities to do it. So I basically have different relationships with friends, coworkers that are photographers, and they will need a model and they'll ask me to, like, just get model for them so that they can fill out their portfolio or whatever. And so I'm like, well, sure, yeah, why not? So that's basically where all those opportunities come from. Or if there's a photographer that wants to put the heat, providing headshots for actors for a discounted price or for free, I will look at their portfolio. And if it's something that I feel that, I want my face on and it will work for me, then absolutely, like, I'm down. So
Nice.
that's the history behind that. As far as the other stuff, I was actually, when we went to SCAD, I was also a film minor. I wanted to double major so bad, but it was so expensive. So I couldn't just double major. But back to telling stories, like I actually wrote like a few shorts like for a web series. I never got it out there. Um but I don't know, like I like to pull from my experiences or something that inspired me, and I just like to write. If it's something that I had a dream about, like I'll log it down and I will save it as content for something that could be useful. So one thing that inspired me to do that uh was when my professor Amy Lerner Maddox, she was my uh production my script writing production professor, and she had us write our own scripts, and I had to direct, I had to shoot it, and I had to like work with actors.
Yeah.
And one thing I learned about myself is I absolutely love working with actors. um Even when I'm not like I'm not shooting anything now, but when I'm assisting my fellow actors with their self tapes and stuff,
Mhm.
like I like to give them a little direction, give them a little boost, help them out, give them some advice that could help them.
Right.
And I mean, it just I just it's something I enjoy doing. So it's like I don't necessarily have to always be in front of the camera. I definitely have an interest in doing more behind the scenes stuff.
You are
So, and I have a lot of friends that do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and I'll talk to them sometimes and get advice for them, and I have books and books of things about that.
I
So
mean, you're just defining what it means to be a artist to the core, right? An artist, I mean,
yeah,
you operate in whatever capacity, whether it be in a church, a storefront, a school
absolutely,
building, a bus, anywhere, any opportunity you get to utilize your art, you have to do it. So it's not just about
definitely,
being one way. It's just, hey, however I get to use my skills, I'm gonna use it. So I like that. I like
yeah.
you're like that. So dope. So before we get even into the interview and get a little deeper, just tell the people, how do you and I know each other?
We both attended SCAD at the time. It was predominantly white, and you really could see any black person that was on campus, like from a mile away, like, oh my God, it's a black guy. I got introduced myself.
Yes.
So that was pretty much what it was like. And it was not many African American males that was actually in our performing arts industry. It was I really I think I can count on maybe one hand. It was definitely under 10 people that was like performing arts, that were actors, that were men,
Mhm.
and the number was just as small for women. So yeah, like I think we were did we work together on Lakeisha Green's project? I think she did something with fences. I felt like you were at that rehearsal.
No, I wasn't. I just
You
had a
didn't work on that?
presence. Scat was about
Well,
the least amount of work. Everything I wanted to do with Scat got rejected. But no, but I do
I
remember
got a story for that too.
exactly. Yeah, but yeah, you were in SCAD and because you were in, was it undergrad for you?
Yes,
Okay,
definitely
okay.
undergrad.
So you were undergrad, and then I was in grad, and so in the grad program,
Oh,
I was the
okay.
only black male. Everyone else, I think, was in undergrad. So like Derek,
Yeah, okay.
uh, what's the other guy? George.
Romeo,
Yeah, yeah, all,
yeah,
yeah,
George.
yeah.
Those are the only 3 I remember
Right.
besides you.
And so yeah, so they were undergrad. So I was the only one in the grad. So I was the person that anything black, I was the hey, ask Jay, he knows. I'm like, I'm not the spokesperson, I'm not the spokesperson for all black people. But again, when I saw you,
Wow.
I'm like, oh wow, another black person. And for me, it was reversed because I had just come from a HBCU. So I graduated undergrad for HBCU, and then I
Oh,
go to scan is like, oh my goodness.
culture
Fuck back
shock.
then. So yeah. So it was very interesting for me and very different, very challenging, but it's also probably some of the years that really made me who I was. It was very tough
Yeah,
for me, but it also molded me. It made me much stronger to be in the world, to have that tough skin. When people going to say no, they're not going to like you, they're not going to understand because
yeah.
simply how you look.
Right.
It's crazy, but hey, it happens. But I learned to move through that. So yeah, it was
Wonderful.
great to see another black person. Oh snap, another black person. So yeah, but I
Yeah,
have heard about your work and everything before, so I knew about you a little bit. Again, it
yeah.
wasn't a lot of black people, so if you saw a black,
No, exactly. I remember always seeing you at Crites Hall, but I was like, I don't remember taking any classes with you, but that makes sense because I didn't even know you were a grad. I just knew like I was happy to see another black person
oh,
that was in
we all
performing arts.
we all were, yeah, yeah. When we see,
Yeah, it was
oh, yeah, I remember
yeah.
being even in taking electives and different things, and being the only black person in the class. So
Yeah.
so I understood that. So when you saw another black person, you were very
You
excited.
got to know him.
So tell us, how did you get into the arts? Because you seem like a real artsy person. So how did you get into the arts?
Well, it started back when I was about 7 years old.
Hmm.
Um, and I started off like, I was very timid, I was very shy, I didn't have a lot of friends, I got bullied a lot, and I expressed myself through music, like, I took piano lessons, and basically don't ask me to play today, I forgot a lot, but but anyway, so around as I got older, like, around the age, I think it was, like, 14, my piano teacher had this off-Broadway director that was traveling throughout the country, and she convinced my parents to have me go to a workshop. I actually didn't wanna go because 'cause I'm like, "I don't wanna talk in front of people." I was very shy. Yeah, I was like, "Don't do this, mom." But they were like, "No, you need this." So they pushed me into it,
Right, right.
and, long story short, uh, it was like a bunch of kids that went, and he had to pick 2 kids from the Gulf Coast. That's where I'm from, Mississippi.
Okay.
And he picked me and this other kid, and it was around that time when I ended up flying to New York. It was my first time on a plane. I was by myself. I got lost in the airport. It was so
Mhm.
crazy. But I went to this acting workshop that was in Harris, New York for like 2 weeks. And basically like I learned a lot. Like we worked with these actors that were in like soap operas, and it like I learned about monologues. I remember I said my first cursing word. I was like scared because was like, "Do I have to say this?" And it was like, I mean, it wasn't like a horrible word. It was just like, "What the hell?" And but
Just
like I didn't
guessing those
curse.
kids,
Like,
right.
yeah, I was just like, "Hell!" Like, is my mom gonna like get me? So, but yeah, so I remember it was very intense. I took dance classes. I took I mean, it was crazy, and it was all these kids. And that was my first time going through culture shock. Just like your scat experience, it was literally me. It was like over hundreds of kids, and it was like only 3 Black people, and you could like spot them throughout the whole campus.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
And so, and then it was like cold,
Right.
but I first of all learned to make friends, talk to people because I had to get out of my shell. I couldn't like be in a corner,
Mhm.
I had to like take something from the experience.
Right, right.
And I at the end of the workshop, I did my first monologue at I think it was I'm trying to remember the theater. I think it was like the Opium Theater in New York, Manhattan, New York.
Mhm.
And I performed my monologue. I think it was like a 1 minute 2-minute monologue in front of like 100 something people. And I was so nervous. And I remember like after the first few seconds, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna puke. Like, I'm gonna pee my pants. I'm so nervous. But like once I started saying my lines and it was like a comedic monologue about this girl that was at this dance, and this guy wanted to dance with her, but she was
Right,
basically turning him down, and she was like, you're not my type, this is what my standards are.
right, right.
And people were laughing, and so I
Hey,
loved the
easy on you.
reaction.
Hey.
And after that I was like, this is what I want to do. So from the age 14, that is when I decided that I wanted to pursue acting.
Mm.
um my parents, they were shocked because like I'm the shy, timid kid, and now I'm doing a monologue in front of all these people. So when I returned to high school or whatever, it was weird. It was like I just went from the shy kid to like I was talking to everyone. I joined the drama club. Now I will say I went to a public Black school. Um, and a lot of money did not go into the arts. So I didn't have the opportunity to see a lot of the plays and learn as much as what my colleagues and my classmates learned by the time I went to SCAD. So
Right.
I felt pretty crappy and ignorant when I came to SCAD, and I learned I knew nothing
Mhm.
but, the things that I did, but it did help me to toughen my skin and not be so scared. Like,
Okay.
I felt like I don't know, like you get these powers, like the best way that I can explain it is like, I don't know, the avatars or whatever. Like you're a hero, when you can be this shy, timid person, and when you get on stage, it's like you're somebody else. You get to be whoever you want to be,
That's good to
and you get to use your imagination to tell a story, and it is so
yeah.
awesome. So yeah, and when I told my parents that I wanted to go to a performing arts school. I remember I was looking at schools in Chicago. My mom was like, no, it's too far. So I was like, well, I want to get out of Mississippi. So what else, I never heard about SCAD actually until we did our
Right?
research.
Really?
Yeah, like
Wow.
nobody talked about it. I mean, in Mississippi, everything was about football and baseball. Like
In
it
the
was
South,
sports.
yeah, in the South, everything is
Yeah,
sports related.
absolutely. And like I'm a small town girl. I'm not even from like a metro area where there's like a lot of opportunities and places to
Right.
go. So I learned a lot of things when I actually attended SCAD.
Okay.
But that's pretty much how it got started, and
That's
I
dope.
don't know, like it makes me really happy, and
As it
I
should.
don't know, like it just brightens up my spirits and my day, and it's just something that I want to do for the rest of my life until I take my last breath. So,
So what I remember about you as SCAD was that you were I can see everything you just described, I saw, right? You could tell like you wanted to kind of speak, but you would still had like a reserve to you, right?
oh
But
yeah.
even when I would see you perform, whether y'all be doing scenes or monologues, or whatever, I could always see there was so much more in you that you weren't tapping into. And I could see it, but it was like, it was like almost like, should I or shouldn't I? So I could always see
Yeah.
that in you, but I knew there was always more. So I would watch you though and see you perform. I would see y'all rehearsing and doing things because, of course, yeah, you weren't doing a lot of stuff.
Right.
As far as like with us. So when you saw somebody doing something, it was like, oh yes, okay, do it. I'll be at your rehearsal or whatever the case may be. I'll read lines with you or whatever. So I definitely saw everything you just described. So I mean, I know for me, the arts has been something I've always said has like kind of saved my life, right? It's given me
Mhm.
another opportunity, another perspective on life and everything. But why do you feel like you love the arts so much?
I feel okay. So growing up, being bullied, and I am about to get a little personal. Growing up and being bullied and not having a lot of friends, and growing up with a very strict household, I dealt with a lot of depression.
Yeah.
And so, like, it just like I had anxiety, I had depression. It was just something that was always like a part of my life. So when I actually found something that gave me joy, like I feel like in a way it saved my life. And I look at it this way, and I think we discussed this before. One thing that I love about what we do
Yeah.
when it comes to telling stories is like for the audience, right? They get to come home or go to a environment, like a theater or whatever,
Mhm.
and they get to, for that moment, forget about their troubles and
Yes.
all their personal issues that they have to deal with, even their routine life,
Yep.
and just like take themselves out of their world for one moment and learn about this other world, learn about this story. So whether it's being an audience member or actually being the storyteller,
Yeah.
and being whatever character that you need to be, to tell the story, I feel like it's really important.
Yeah.
So it was like because I didn't do sports. Like I was in the band, and I like I told you I took piano lessons and stuff when I
Mhm.
was a kid, but acting is the only thing that ever like really got like all of my attention, and it's something that I really wanted to do that brought me joy. Even if I played a character that wasn't that
Right.
happy. I don't know, it's like just
You got
the
something.
psychology behind it.
Was it
And
just the matter of fact that you were able to kind of step outside of who you were
yeah,
as being Whitney Kay to develop, even with character
exactly.
analysis and developing who this character is, where they're from, and different things like that. Okay.
Definitely. And the process is not easy. And sometimes it gets very frustrating being an actor. I'm not going to say that it's all rainbows and,
Talk about it.
smiles and unicorns or whatever,
Talk about it.
but it's like you work so hard to like, going through the process to deliver what you have to deliver. And then once you get to see what you did
Mhm.
and you get to share it with people, I love to share. That's me anyway. Like I love to share things. And I'm like, why not share this journey, or this finished product
Yeah.
with my audience, with my friends, with my family, with strangers, and give them that escape from like their routine life.
It,
So
it's a power
That's
behind
how I look at
acting,
it. Yeah.
right? And particularly, stage acting, right? You talked about
Yes.
being able to have a live audience. The power that you have when you're telling the story and the audience is on the edge of their seat waiting to hear the next line, and you stop and and they're waiting for you to talk. Like that you can have the power that you have to be able to command people who are watching you in the palm of your hand. You have that ability to make people feel, think, have these emotions, and just like, oh, I know a friend like that, or you're just like that. I know a family member, whatever. But like you said, for that moment, nothing else matters. When you're in that stage, you're in that performance, when you're going to see that movie, for the hour 2 hours, however long you're there, nothing else matters besides that story that you listen to right there. And that's a
Exactly.
powerful thing that you like, yo, I'm legit changing people's lives. It's on one hand,
Pretty
like
much.
you're doing this work, but I mean, if you even take now, like everything now is streaming. So it's just like that power that you have is crazy, right? And you
It really is.
talked earlier also about just the acting and what it means, right? So take us through your process, because everyone has a different process when they're preparing for a role, right? Whether it be auditioning or even like remembering lines, like kind of what is your process when you approach a role? Take us through that.
Okay. All right. So the first thing I do is, let's say if it's for an audition, right?
Yeah.
I haven't done any theater in a while. It's been more film. So I'll take you behind that
Hmm,
one.
hmm.
I will read the script over and over. And
Yeah.
if it is a script on film for like a play,
Yeah.
I will buy the play if I don't own it already. And I will read the whole thing because it's
Do
important
that
to
homework.
understand the story instead of like just creating something in your head. Because
Right.
like that's, that goes down to like the casting director. Like you want to impress them,
Right.
right? So, but anyway, back to the process. So after I have read it, the next thing I do is I ask myself those questions. So like, who is this person, right? I asked myself like, and I even made some bullet points. I have them ready. I'm take
Ooh.
you through it.
Hey.
so so I asked myself like, who am I? Who am I talking to?
Yeah.
And what is my relationship with that person? Uh like, it could even, and then I take it from there. I go to like the physical traits. So like, am I a happy person? Do I have this thing where like I have this tweak about me where I might like roll my neck, or I might like, you know,
Mm,
give you the ice cold look. What do you call it? The if looks could kill.
mhm.
The I forgot what you call it. Anyway, so it's like little tiny things that pretty much breaking down the psychology of the character, right? And so the next thing is that I do is try and understand my overall objective of the whole thing. Like, what am I trying to do? Do I want to be loved? Am I trying to get revenge? Like, why am I? You have to break it down. Why do I want to get revenge? What has this person done to me?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
why am I going through this? Um, I still take acting classes now, and I go to workshops, so that's been very helpful. That's another part of my process.
Yes.
If it's something where like, I can afford it, like if it's a casting director that is offering classes or workshops, like I still take classes. Repetition is everything. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I have a degree from SCAD and I'm good.
I'm great.
That's not how it works at all. Like, yeah, like, no, you still have to put in the work. You can still learn a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Um, and something that I would like to share with you that my previous acting coach, John Jacobson, thank you, sir, he shared with us the actor's workbook. Are you familiar with this?
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
The thing that I love about this book is it has basically all the adjectives. And one thing, another part of my process, I'll pull three adjectives that I want to attach to my character.
Mm.
Uh, and so, like some examples, am I grieve? Am I helping? Am I to offend? Am I to overlook? Am I to persecute? Like, it has all these things, and you can pull from that. And I will literally, I'm going to show you something. I will literally cut out the script, the page that I want, highlight. You see this? Do my beat,
Get
and
exclusive.
then this is like a real I'm doing my homework now.
Let's go.
And then I I break down my beats. I have my beat tags, my tactic. I even go down to what type of physical action am I going to use when I say this line? Why do I have this physical action?
Yes.
And that helps me understand my character better. And then if it's something that's challenging me, like let's say if I have to play cuz I'm a really nice person, right? I'm sweet, I'm nice. I don't really know how to be mean to people.
No.
But if I have to play a character that's like evil, snarly, badass or whatever, I will go to YouTube and I will look up certain characters that are or actors that I have known to play these roles,
Right.
and I will look at what they did and I will steal it because actors steal all the time.
Yeah.
And I take notes and I use from that, and that's pretty much the process. And then when it comes down to going over the lines,
Yes.
after I have done my character breakdown, then I'll bother my husband, or if he's working or too busy, then I will reach out to one of my girlfriends on FaceTime,
Yeah.
or I go to one of their houses
Yeah. Yeah.
and we will go through those lines when it comes to recording. And that is pretty much it.
Yeah, that was it. You dropped the bomb. You got exclusives here. So yeah, I mean, you literally just broke down character analysis. You dropped a little Udahagen in there with your objective obstacle tactic, which is things I use in my class too. You have to know why or to what, those two. And what am I trying to do? What do I want from this? What's standing in my way? How am I going to go about those things? Those little details matter. That shows the difference of someone is going to be good versus great. I always ask my students and
Absolutely.
even my kids, do you want to be good? You want to be great? People usually
Right.
remember good people, but great people, people can tell you all about great people. So the
Absolutely.
difference of just doing that extra work to say, what do I want from the scene? How does my character look? How do they walk? How do they talk? What are their physical? All of those elements, I always say the more context you can add to a character or to a scene, it's going to make it so much better. So I love that you
Definitely.
shared all those different things about your process and how you prepare. So you
Yeah,
talked about going to SCAD. And before we get into SCAD, now at your high school, did you do acting at your high school before you got to SCAD, or was SCAD kind
I
of like,
did.
okay? So how was that?
It was more like little things like during Black History Month, like I would recite a poem from Maya Angelou or something, or we did have some things where we had to write our own little play and we would perform it in front of each other, but it really wasn't big. I don't we didn't even honestly, like, even going into SCAD, like, when we had to do, like, the practicum and stuff, when we had to help build the set, like, I never did that until I went to SCAD. Like,
Okay.
they invested no money whatsoever,
Mm,
into our arts department.
right, right. Well, I mean,
It
but
was
typically a lot of schools don't. So, and
yeah,
that's
and
kind
it's
of
so
why I'm so
sad.
on this part because the arts is always the last when it comes to funding. It's the one that people always say, "Oh, that's not that important." But
But
there's
it
nothing
is.
that you can look through in life that does not of reflection or involve art. Everything, every single
Right.
thing. So it's disheartening to hear that you've experienced what so many other people experience. You don't get exposed to art as much because everything is sports. And so the arts gets pushed to the wayside until you, but luckily you got to go to SCAD and kind of experience those things. So you said when you got
I
to
am grateful for that.
SCAD, so were you nervous when you got to SCAD thinking like, oh my God?
Yes, I was nervous. Yes, I was nervous. I remember when I had to audition to get accepted into the school. I
Okay.
was so scared. And I remember when the dean, he was like, "Oh, that was beautiful. That was great." And I'm thinking like, "Really, sir?" I was
You
so
like it?
scared. But when I got in, I was like, "I'm getting out of Mississippi, yes." Cuz
Oh,
honestly, it was like I say, like it really saved my life. It was nothing to do in my town but get into trouble. If you weren't into sports, like you honestly like I started seeing my peers becoming single mothers at the age of 14. or kids that I went to school with, like they were already in juvenile, for like serious stuff. Half of my class didn't even graduate.
Mm,
A lot of them dropped out or got into trouble, and it's really unfortunate because I felt like if we had more opportunities for our kids, like they could have stayed out of trouble, but nobody was really looking out for us. So when I found something that I was passionate about
mhm,
and there was a way for me to get out, like I got out and I didn't look back. I remember when I was struggling as an artist
yeah,
and my mom was like, "Well, baby, you can move on home." And I was like, "Mom, I love you, but I will rather sleep on someone's couch."
right.
And that's what I did. Like it wasn't necessary. They had a guest bedroom or whatever, but I remember like when I was broke and when I lived in Savannah, like I was working like 2, 3 jobs before I even moved to Atlanta, and it sucked because it was like I couldn't even pursue my acting like I wanted to, but I just had to like
You got to,
stay out of Mississippi because I did not want to get stuck
right,
there.
right.
So that was another goal. So the struggle was real. So
No, I get it. So, what? So, I mean, going to SCAD for me was very different because again, I came from HBCU, but luckily, the last 2 years of high school, I ended up going to a predominantly white high school, so I wasn't
that's
too
good.
shocked.
You
But
got a little warm up.
because I went to a HBCU, HBCUs prepare you for how you're going to be viewed in the world of being black. So I got all the practice I needed going to a HBCU. Shout out to the North Carolina Central University. But when I got
Okay.
to SCAD, it was very different. Like you said, there were a lot of people who knew things that I didn't know. But I did fortunately have a department chair professor tell me before I leave, "Hey, when you go there, be a sponge." So that's what I did. I tried to absorb everything, all those wins, all the losses, all the disappointment. I just took it all in because I knew at some point I would need it. So tell us about some of your experiences at SCAD because you came from, you said a black school, and then now you're going to a predominantly white institution. In some
Right.
instances, you're only black person in class. So tell us about your experience being a SCAD.
Whew, wow. So I'll never forget. So if my high school could be a college, it would have been an HBCU. I was used to Battle of the Bands. I was used to like
Oh,
sports, like,
fun.
like homies, like chilling it with your homies or whatever. And then I come to SCAD and first of all, the drive from home was like 9 hours. So that was like the furthest I was away from home.
Oh,
That was intense. Um, and I started like I I stayed at Oglethorpe House. That was my first dorm. And it was like all these different white kids with like orange hair, blue hair. I was like,
oh,
where am I?
yeah, very different.
And it was just, it was just something that I had to adjust to because I was not used to seeing that where I'm from.
Mhm.
And so when I it was really hard for me, especially my freshman year because undergraduate I had to take a bunch of foundation classes and I didn't have any background in drawing and color theory and stuff like that. So it was like I literally dedicated all my time to pass this class to make a C so that I can get to my performing arts,
Yeah,
program because for a whole year I didn't even touch anything. I think maybe I had like one acting class, but
yeah.
everything else was like color theory, drawing, sculpting, or whatever. And I struggled. It was hard. And I remember feeling so proud of my work because I was like, I wouldn't sleep. Literally, I think I lived off of 4 hours of sleep my freshman year. I don't know how I did that, but I did it. So I was focused, like I put all these hours in, and then I feel so proud. And then critique Friday, I'll never forget. You have to post your stuff up, and my stuff looks so crappy and like kindergarten compared to Picasso and
Right.
Anderson. I was just like, wow, it was a hot mess. So once I got through that, and I was in the performing arts like department and I was taking all my classes at
Mhm.
Kreitz, I felt so intimidated
Yeah.
because these kids knew everything and they were asking me these questions like, have you been to this play, have you been to that? And I was just like, what is that?
Mhm.
And they were looking at me like, where you come from, the boonies or something, like. and it was weird. I actually did not have a lot of friends in the performing arts department. It was the black kids, yeah, like
Yeah.
they embraced me or whatever. But as far as like the other kids, I felt like an outcast. And I ended up becoming friends and hanging out with the film department. Most people actually thought I was a film major because I was at
Yeah.
Hamilton all the time too.
Yeah.
I remember when they did a bunch of student films and I was like in just about like I was just trying to like round up, trying to get as much experience as I could.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like that was pretty much my experience. Like I was just once I found some of my like a couple of friends, like my small little circle where we could go over lines and help each other out, like that made me feel more comfortable. But it was really intimidating. I auditioned for a lot of stuff. I got turned down.
Mhm.
I remember my first and only play. I was cast in at SCAD, The Holy Ghost. That was the name of it. And I worked so hard on that play, but I was so happy. I was like, I got in something because it was like
Very
I
hard.
didn't have a background in dance and I didn't know how to dance, you know. I just do acting or whatever. And I worked really hard when I had to take those dance classes. It was just like the other kids just got it and it my process wasn't always easy
Hmm.
as far as making that connection.
Yes.
And it was like some of it made sense to me, but because I wasn't as experienced,
Hmm.
it took me a minute, you know?
Yeah.
And then some people can, be like, "Oh, well, you're a natural," but being a natural only gets you so far. Like you still got to know the technique and get
Right.
somewhere
Right.
with this. So it was it was a lot. It was a
Very
lot. But
hard.
I will say when like I only got into one theater production, so I kind of veered off to the film
Hmm.
and I did a lot of more film things. I was even cast in a my first web series entitled Pineapple Upside Down Cake. It was a timepiece that took place in the 70s. That was such a fun project to work on.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a lot of work. I'll never forget. We shot in the hot summer in Savannah, Georgia,
Hmm.
and I had to wear this wig because I was this my character's name was Shirlene. I was like, trying to get into this college, make a
Right.
difference, be a doctor. And I was wearing all these heavy, hot clothes from the 70s era and I was itching a lot. So I remember that. But it was like I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun on the film sets. I remember being extras in like local things. There was like some band. I don't remember them, but it was a band and they needed extras. And the time era was like I think it was the 50s. And I remember like I had an opportunity to wear like costume from the 50s and I had a blast. Like I was in this world. And I think they shot a lot of things in reverse too. It was really cool. So um it was it was a lot of ups and downs. I learned a lot about myself
Yes.
at SCAD and
You and me both.
yeah, but I did feel at moments with the performing arts department, like a lot of the kids, it was everybody kind of had their clique
Yes.
and it definitely felt similar to how it did when I was in school, people had their clique, their favorites, and I didn't feel like I always fit in, but then at the same time, like, why am I trying to fit in? Like, I'm just gonna focus on me and do my thing. And once I got in some stuff and participated and did my own thing, I was happy. I was good.
Yeah.
And I
From
just want to learn.
Yeah, from the performance aspect, a lot of love I got was from the film stuff because they filmmakers they looking for somebody to be in a show. I mean, their movie. They don't care. Like, okay, yeah, you're gonna be in it, cool. But from the theater department doing things like you didn't get a lot of love for that. I know I didn't.
I
And
didn't
it doesn't feel like
either.
you didn't either. But I know for me, I was very kind of frustrated with the process because I didn't know what grad school meant. I never intended on going to grad school at all. It just happened.
Yeah.
It worked out that way. And I had no intention. I was a performer. I'm an actor. I've always been an actor. I'm always going to be an actor. Yes, I can do other things, but I always want to be known as the actor. So I
Right.
remember my first day getting there, and I think you hear Morgan talk about this on her interview, and she's like, I remember the first day of class, you're like, I'm Jay the actor, and I'm here like to work. Like, let's go. And everyone looked at me like, this dude is crazy. But she said, from that day, you were always the one. When we had to do Shakespeare, you were the first person to know you were off book like that afternoon. We got it that
Oh,
morning,
wow.
afternoon, you were ready to go. The next day, you were the first person always ready to perform. Anytime we had to do a scene, you wanted to perform like right then and there. And I said, well, I didn't come in there. I looked at it like, look, I don't have a lot of opportunities here. So if I get an opportunity to do in class, let's go. I hated the aspect of writing.
Absolutely.
I don't want to write no 10, 20-page paper about how I feel about this show. I hated it. So
No, yeah, I
for
hated
me,
that.
that was the hardest part because I always thought like I'm an actor, I'm a performer. I don't care about writing no paper. You can write the paper. So that was my biggest struggle. Like I don't want to deal with writing a 10-page paper. Give me a show and let me perform 10 scenes or something. Like I'm cool with that. So I had a lot of struggle with that. But it's interesting to hear that you had a lot of those same struggles as it relates to just like doing things for that. So you've
Yeah, I
also
just wanted to put in the work and learn. Like I wanted to
yeah,
learn and I wanted to put in the work. That's all I wanted to do. And it's like,
yeah,
how am
like
I gonna get
I
that
need work.
experience if you're not casting
Yes,
me?
yes.
And it was like the same people were
Oh,
in like all the productions. And I mean
and if
and they
if you didn't
had
sing too, because a lot of pieces had to do with singing. So if you didn't sing, then I also took you out as well. So you mentioned about
I think
dancing,
that's
but
what got me in
yeah,
actually, that Holy Ghost production, because
yeah.
I was the only person in that play that had a solo. And
Mhm.
I back in high school, I'm glad that I did it. Remember when I told you I took piano lessons at age 7?
Yeah.
The same person that taught was Miss Leah Rollins. Shout out to you. You're awesome. Um, by the age, I think 15, 16, I decided that I didn't want to take any more piano lessons and I wanted to get vocal training.
Right, right.
So she got me started on classical training. And then when I attended SCAD,
Mhm.
I continued that in from freshman year all the way to my senior year. I was taking singing vocal classes as well.
Mm.
So honestly, I think my singing
Help you.
is what got me, because I was the only one
Ah,
that had that solo.
shout out
So, and
to
I
you.
was grateful for it. And it's weird. It was like it's like I don't mind acting in front of people, but I am super self-conscious when it comes to my singing. So I don't know why that's always been scarier,
Hey,
but I guess your voice could creak or something, be
hey.
off.
So I'm just envious to anyone who can sing. I'm a very confident person, and that's the only thing in the world you will hear me admit that I cannot do is sing. Anything else, you can give me an instrument I've never played. I can tell you I can do that, but singing it's not in the cards for me. There's no hope for me as it relates to that. So I'm a little envious of you. But you also once you got out of SCAD, you also done a lot of work too. You've done film. I think you've done commercials as well, right? You done
More like extra work in commercials. I haven't had the opportunity
okay.
to have like my own commercial or, be like the spotlight person in my
Right.
commercial, but
But I mean,
I
you've
did
done
like,
other things as well.
yeah, but yeah, I did a lot of extra work coming out
Right.
of SCAD. Most of the things that I did was more independent.
Okay.
Um, and right out of SCAD, I I was trying to pay for rent and to eat. So I wasn't able to. I ended up working 2 jobs. I worked for Clear Channel Radio. I actually got into the radio industry. I started out as a production assistant, and then they had me working like 3 different roles. That was like, it was hard. I think that was I graduated from SCAD in 2009, so like I couldn't get a full-time job or like anything, with benefits. The
Yeah.
pay was very little.
Right.
But I took advantage of my stuff at the radio because I got kind of close with like some of the program directors, and they let me record for different promos. So I was like, I could. So I did do commercial promos for like radio. I
Yeah.
did some for Crystals, and I did like a few other things. And I even helped like interview artists that came into the studio to interview like with the talent or whatever. So that was something else that I got into. I did continue to audition, when I could.
Yeah.
And then I ended up moving to Atlanta and I did more behind the scenes stuff. So I was like a PA. My first job, I was a production assistant. Did you ever see the movie Neighborhood or The Watch with Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn?
Hmm.
So that was my first project that I did. And then I worked on 42 with Chadwick Boseman. And then I did a few other things like for television. I think Devious Maids, like I worked on like a couple of stuff, few things with them. They
These
needed a
are all
filler.
these are all big things. You're like, yeah, just whatever.
I mean, just little stuff, here and there, just trying to get some experience. But luckily, one of my really close friends, he went to SCAD. He was a film major,
Right,
and I was like, I just, I don't want to work. I don't want to stay in Savannah and like be doing nothing. Like, I want to take it to the next level. I need some experience. I don't even have to be in front of the camera. Like,
right.
help me. So shout out to my friend Justin. But it was one day he was like, hey, so I'm moving and I know you're in Savannah, but they need someone. It was like I think it was on like a Friday or Thursday when
Mhm.
he texted me and he was like, they need someone by Monday. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
And at the time, my lease had just ended. I was staying with my ex-boyfriend at the time, just, until I got up on my feet. And I remember he was just like, well, if they like you, he was like, they need someone to work for like a week. And if they like you, they'll keep you on. And so I was like, okay. So I made one of those big risky moves and I packed everything in my car.
Yeah,
And one of my friends, she was like, you have nothing to lose. You can stay with me
yeah.
until you get up on your feet. So I stayed with her for a couple of months
Mhm.
and I worked as a production assistant, my little minor in film and television. Like Justin taught me a lot of things behind the scene about production. He actually wants to be a producer and he helped me with a lot of stuff. So yeah, like they liked me and they kept me on for the remainder of the production. And then when there was time for like other projects, like I gradually built my resume.
Yeah.
And I also have production assistant experience working in radio, although it wasn't for film. Like I did a lot of similar things, like you got to pretty much assist in. I had admin background, so all of that stuff, I guess like it came together
Uh,
and it worked out. And
uh,
then when I worked on 42, I think when they were about done with like getting into the post production part of it after they were done shooting, um they I ended up they didn't need me anymore and my friend that I helped her get on, she had more experience than me. And it's kind of cold. It's a cold world in that film
hey.
industry. They were like, "You're really nice. Like we love you, but we feel like you're too sweet. Like this girl, she has more experience." So we kind of decided to keep her and they let me go.
Oh,
And so
what?
yeah, so a lot of life lessons there. But it worked out anyway because I ended up being the nanny for the production manager's daughter. And I had that gig for 6 months. And then I was watching an accountant's daughter. So it was like I was networking, making these connections, and also like babysitting. And it worked out. And she's not a little girl anymore. I think she was 11 when I was watching her. And so now she's like 18, 19 in college, like beautiful, smart young woman. And I'll never forget her mom for giving me that opportunity. But when I tell you, like, I've had so many jobs and
It's
like just an
hard.
all around person. And when I tell you that I can't put myself in a box if I wanted to, like, I can't. And why? So,
Shout out
yeah.
to you using them resources. Hey, that's a lot for the artist. So, I mean, it sounds like you've done a lot, even if you don't think you have done a lot,
It doesn't feel that way sometimes,
you
but
have done a lot, right? You've done, had like your hands in a lot of things. And I know as artists, one of the hardest things for us to do is to stop and acknowledge like we've done something, right? And give ourselves
yeah.
a pat on the back. At any point in your career, have you ever felt like, okay, I'm doing something I love, I'm successful? Because I know it's very hard for artists to do that. So have you had that moment yet?
Yes, it was a bittersweet moment. It was actually in Atlanta, closer to the time right before I moved to Seattle. and I got my first lead role in this independent film entitled Played. And the director was really cool. His wife, family, everybody was nice. I had a great relationship with all of my cast members, and I actually won. And they actually placed our film into one of the independent film the what do you call them, going blank, one of the festivals,
Okay.
and I won an award for best supporting actress. And I'll never forget, like, when they called my name, I was just like,
What?
yeah. And so it was literally like that happened, I think the day, maybe 2 days before I had to leave
Yeah.
and move to Seattle to be with my then fiance. And so it felt surreal, it felt good. I felt like the work that I put into it paid off, and it just felt good to win something. That was my first award, from getting something. It, like, pursuing my acting, putting in the work, and
Yes.
it was a fun experience. And so after that, a second time I felt like I did something. Oh, going back before that, I had a callback, like I auditioned for a film uh with Ryan Reynolds. I'll never forget. And I got a call back. I had the audition in Atlanta, and then I got a call back, and they wanted me to go to New Orleans. Well, New Orleans is like an hour away from my home.
Right.
And so, like, I'll never forget, I drove down there with my friend, and then we stayed at my parents, and then they drove us to New Orleans the next day. And
Mm.
although I didn't get the role, it felt good to, like, just have that experience, when that networking with the casting director and getting their reaction, they were laughing. I'm a Southern girl from Mississippi, so I really had to pull my dialect out and really be that girl. So that was another time. So I've had some moments where I felt like, this is why I do it. It feels good. And even if I don't always like win the role or, be the top person, like,
So,
just from my journey, like, I do have some little um celebration moments where this is a small little, moment for me where I actually accomplished something.
yeah,
So
celebrate those wins. I'm telling you,
that's
celebrate all.
agreed.
Even just doing it for me has always been like a success, right? Because I think about all the people that desire to be actors or actresses, right? And they don't, either they're afraid, they don't think they're going to be good or whatever. And so they just sit there and think about, man, I want to do this, but don't know how
Right.
even to start. So when we get to do what we do, we have to celebrate those because our world is it's cutthroat. You can walk
It
into a
is.
room and they're like, yeah, I don't like you because you remind me of my ex-wife, and no, I can't put you in this film. Like you ain't even spoke yet, but because you got your hair a certain way, it reminds you of how his ex-wife. Now you out, or
Exactly.
it's so cutthroat. So when we get the opportunity to go and even audition, like you said, or get a role, or even be behind the scene, we gotta celebrate it because it is very difficult. And I don't think people realize, like you say, how cutthroat the business is.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it really is. It's like you get so used to being rejected or not hearing anything back. Like, I audition, it's like, first of all, you cannot just put your entire soul into it after you audition. Like, you have to let it go. I remember that was like the first mistake I made.
Yeah, yeah.
Um After I graduated SCAD, I auditioned for a lead role for a music video. I didn't get it, and they just wanted me to be an extra. And of course I took it, but like, when I tell you that hurt my soul so bad, like,
Okay.
I felt like I couldn't, it was equivalent to being dumped by a boyfriend.
Wow.
Like, that was how
Right,
heartbroken
right, right.
I was. And I was just like, "Oh my god, like, this is emotionally draining. I can't do this." So I was like, "Nope, don't, like, nope. You gotta just audition and, like, keep your eye on the prize.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
keep going forward, because it is not psychologically healthy
No,
to
it's
just dwell on something like that. And you have
not.
to have tough skin."
You gotta have ambition. Like I'm a firm believer. Like, hey, once I say, all right, thank you. Like so what I'm doing tomorrow. Like I'm already on the next thing because you have to be like that. Because like you said,
Yes.
you can put so much And even just how you broke down how you prepare for things. You spend all that time doing those things, and then like you said, you're like, okay, do they like me? You hoping, and then they call you back, and you're like, oh, this might be it. And they're like, yeah, we went a different direction, but thank you. We'll keep your
Yep,
resume. And you like, what do you mean you gonna keep? You know what I had to do? I had to already
right. A
quit
lot.
my job in order for even to do this audition. So it's a lot that goes in it, and I don't think people really understand this on the outside world. Like a lot of times, even our world, like you have to go to audition, but you have a regular job, and it's like, okay, well, okay, I can take this day off, but oh, now you want me to go here? You want 3, 4 days? So it is very challenging just to navigate how do I keep my job and still do that? I've been in a position, years back where I had a meeting like they're like, listen, this is your final warning. You can't miss any more days. And I'm just like, it is what it is. Like I gotta do what I
Yep.
gotta do. And that's the life of artists sometimes. Like you have to sacrifice, whether it's a show or whatever. If you really want to do it, you have to step out and say, you know what? Hey, I just gotta do what I have to do. And it's not easy.
Man, it is not. You were so right about that. When I tell you, I learned a lot of life lessons from a lot of failures.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When I was still in Savannah, remember the opportunity I told you that I took
Yeah,
before I moved to Atlanta, right?
yeah.
Well, I had an opportunity before. I actually had an interview with one of the production managers on a Tyler Perry production.
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh, well, can we schedule it for another day? I gotta work." Because I was just like, "Oh my God, like I'm really poor. Like I gotta pay rent. I gotta eat." And I was too, I was like I was just one of those people who was like, "Oh, I gotta do the right thing. Like I don't feel right, like calling out of work, like if they don't let me take this day off, then I'm just gonna have to turn it down." And oh my goodness, I kicked myself so many times for that.
Right.
She was like, "Okay, we'll call you back." I never heard back from them. And it took me a minute to
Right.
get any more opportunities
Yeah.
like that, like working behind the scenes. And same thing with auditions, but like I wish
You
I
don't
would
get
have
those
taken that
yeah.
opportunity.
You don't get those second chances sometimes.
No,
You do that audition, they're like, "Hey, can you be here tomorrow at 11 o'clock?" You're like, "What the like?"
right,
So you have
right.
those moments of like, "Oh, man." Because I know I've had a lot of moments like that. And even when I
Yeah.
remember getting into a job, right? I would get a new job, and it's usually in the retail world or sales. So I would always say, "Hey, listen, I'm an actor, just want to let you know." And they're like, "Oh, no, that's fine." I'm like, "No, I'm letting you know." So there may be days where I may need X amount of days, to combat that. Hey, you can schedule me any day you want, doesn't matter. But when I need those days, I need those. But
Right.
it doesn't always, not everyone is going to be accepting of that. They don't care. They're like, listen, we need you to sell this whatever product. Like, we don't care about you wanting to be this aspiring star or whatever. And it's
No.
hard to sit there and say, okay, do I go to work? Because I know I need to pay rent and I got to pay my phone bill and I got these lights and gas and water and all these other things. And what I'm going to do. And it's hard. It's
It's
very,
very
very
hard.
hard. And even with me having, entertainment company, with J Weeks Entertainment, same thing. Now I have even more responsibility. Like, okay, well, I know I got to do this show and I got to pay this person this. How I'm gonna make this work? But you
Whew,
just got to make it happen. But I
gotta do
found
it,
that
figure it out.
I've been the most successful when I just started and done something. Whether I had all the answers or the resources, because there's been times when I've done a show and I didn't have the money to pay for it at the time, but I was like, it's gonna come around some point, and I had to wait to like the day of the show selling
Yeah.
tickets to get my money to be able to say, okay, I can pay for it.
Whew,
But those
yeah.
are some of the most exciting times I had. At the time, it didn't feel good. It did not feel great at all. Wondering, okay, do I have to cancel this show? I had already put my name on the flyer, and it's hard. But
Yeah, that
when you
is,
go through that, it's just a
it's
matter of
worth
it's
it.
like you got to push through it though. But it's exciting to see the other side of that. So
It
I
really
say all that to
is.
say, keep pushing, people. If you're listening, keep pushing. Forget that
Definitely
that
don't
job
stop.
ain't gonna be there. Them opportunities may not always be there. So keep that in mind.
And
So
a shout out to your students,
oh
just
yes,
really quickly, or any other
yes,
actors that want to know about some flexible jobs.
yes.
Because every actor, we have to have a survival
Mhm,
career.
mhm.
Trader Joe's, I work there now.
I heard about that.
Um, I didn't. So remember the actor that was on the Cosby Show, and they made a big deal out of it
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they found out that he worked at
Yes.
Trader Joe's. When the woman tried to shame him because of where he was working, so because it was flexible, I was like, wait a minute, did they say flexibility? I quit my job working like at a mortgage company. I was like, nope, I need that.
Right.
So yeah, and they work with you. Like, the thing I love about that job is you put whatever your availability is,
Yeah.
and it's not like a gamble. They go off of that. And if you need, like, I had an event because I was in a I was actually in a couple of independent films, not this year with the COVID, but last year
Yeah.
and year before that. And they worked with me. That's like, oh no, go, we'll figure it out. Like, it was crazy. And like, Trader Joe's is great. That's not gonna be my place forever. I'm currently in
Shout out,
school.
shout out Trader Joe's.
No, but I want to put that out there
Yes,
because
definitely.
for the actors that are like wondering, like, where can I work where I don't have to have any type of certification or degree,
Right.
that's and the great thing about it is every 6 months they give you a review and you get a raise. So just like do your job, and the benefits are awesome, and you only need to work 30 hours a week to have those benefits, to have medical, dental, and vision. And if you don't work all 30 hours, you can still get vision and dental by working basically nothing.
Right, right. Shout
So I just wanted to like shout out to Trader Joe's for any actors that are like
appreciate it.
worried, because I know that was my biggest struggle. Like,
Yeah.
for the longest time, I was literally going back to square one trying to figure out
I'm with you.
what survival job can I have so that I can like do my thing.
Yeah.
But I am currently on an acting hiatus because I am back in school. I'm getting certified as a surgical technologist, aka scrub tech. And so basically um I went back to square one with the career counselor, and I was just like, look, I'm not trying to go into more debt, from school. I'm not trying to be in school a long time, but like, I love helping people. I am very interested in science and the health industry. Like, that is something that I enjoy. And I was like, I could be on, like, I'm telling you, like, never think small.
Yes.
Learning my medical terminology, like, I'm trying to be on somebody's show or movie and be a doctor if I want to be, and I know what I'm talking about when I
I
get the
know.
script. Like, that makes a difference. Like, you have to know what you're saying.
Talk
So
about method acting.
yeah, so anyway, like, I have 6 more months left, and I can work 4 to 10s. I can work 3 to 12s, basically meaning I only have to work 4 days a week, working 10-hour shifts, or 3 days a week, working 12-hour shifts. That's like a dream, and the pay is decent, and I can afford to invest in myself. I can continue taking those acting classes.
Talk
And
about
then the agency that I'm signed in with, they're awesome. They didn't even drop me when I went back to school. Shout out to MAM.
it.
Um, I was so scared when I had to tell my agent. I was just like, look, I made the decision to go back to school. I gotta have a survival career to keep this up. And she was like, no, we understand, like, just give us the green light when we can let you know. Just let us know when you start school, and then give us a green light when we can start sending you auditions again. And I was like, okay. So yeah, and I don't know how many other agencies are, but one thing I really like about them is they will send you an availability request, meaning like, hey, so this is our client, this is the shoot date, or this is what it is.
Right.
Can you or will you not be available in this time frame? If you can't, okay, cool, on to the next. If you can, then they'll send you the audition
Okay.
later, when it's available, and then you submit your self tape or whatever,
Right.
and then the next step is if you get the call back or not. But yeah, like, things are different.
You very,
So, and
very.
and I like how people are working with you more because they understand. Not everybody is that understanding, and not saying that it's necessarily not being understanding, because I understand, just like any other company, like, we all have a job to do, right? And
Right,
people
right.
have to be available. But I just know my biggest struggle was finances and availability, and you have to have time and you have to have money if you want to be in a production or create a production
Right.
and make it work out. And sometimes not everybody has that availability and you make it work, but like, I didn't want to get that phone call like, look, and if it is what it is, like I learned my lesson. Like if I have to just get another job, I have to just get another job. But I went back to square one. I was like, you know what? My journey is my journey.
Of course.
And I'm gonna take a different route. And I actually learned from like one of my acting classmates when I was taking acting classes in Atlanta. Like she's an RN,
Mhm.
and she was the one that actually inspired me to take that route, because
Wow.
her parents, it was a little different for her. She's also from Mississippi, very talented actress, Jules Noble, but she ended up going to nursing school first,
Mm.
because she fought her parents like nail it,
Mhm.
but like she was like, I want to go to acting school. They're like, no, no, you're gonna be like,
Wanna
be a nurse. And I didn't realize how flexible their schedule is. And she was doing good. And like, although yeah, you might be tired, she had those like she had more time and more days available to be able to do things.
Right,
And
right.
I did not know it's like a quite bit of people that are in the medical field
Mhm.
that and you can avoid that 9 to 5. So
Yep.
I just wanted to put that out there, because I found myself asking so many other actors like those questions. And I was just like, like retail is cool. I've been in the food industry, that's cool, but like as I get older, like I need I need to be able to invest in myself, but also like,
That's the key.
I'm married, and like I can't leave my partner hanging either, like
Yeah.
it's adulting. You got responsibilities, but
Right.
like how can I make this work? So I've been to the drawing board like so many times. I've started over so many times just trying to figure it out. So when I tell you my journey
Of course.
has been all over the place, it's not like just one straight, way. It's
Right.
been all over the place.
But
So
all of
if
those
that can help anybody,
no, all of those things are shaping you for exactly who you need to be, So all of the things
definitely.
you've experienced, those losses, those wins, those tough lessons, those
Yes.
disappointments, those heartbreaks, all of those things shape you for exactly who you need to be. So it's all worth it in the end. So shout out
Oh,
to you
definitely.
for sharing your story with that. Now we know we talked about some of the great things that you've done and those wins. But we know that no success comes without haters, doubters, naysayers, non-believers. Have
Yes.
you faced any of this as it relates to your art? Have you had those people who don't believe or doubt or even just like, nah, ain't gonna work. You need to do something else.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
talk about it.
Man. Okay. First of all, I'm not gonna call my parents haters,
Mm.
but it took some convincing
Whatever.
when I decided that I wanted to, because they like when they saw me on stage, it was like, okay, we know this is what you want to do. But my dad was always talking about a backup plan. And I
Mm.
would look at him like, what? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what he's saying now,
Right.
but I'm like, I'm not gonna stop acting just because things get hard. Like I may go on a hiatus, like a pause, right?
Yeah.
But this is not something I'm just gonna stop. But I even remember like me and one of my family members, she had the dream of shooting film production. She actually had like a communications major.
Okay.
Uh like she went to an HBCU. And I remember how excited she was about it. And
Right.
I remember when her mom was talking to me and her, and she was just like, I don't know when you guys are going to come to your senses and like get a regular job. And I was just like, whoa, lady, like, dang, like, okay, I understand, but like, this isn't easy and it's not going to happen in your time. But like, not everybody just wants to like have a basic career. Like it's more to me than that. I would be unhappy and I would be a very resentful person if I had to settle. Like that's absolutely not happening.
Yeah.
I remember I had a discussion with my husband. He was just like, "So what if it doesn't work out?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was just like, he was like, "Are you gonna keep acting? Like, when are you gonna keep doing?" I was like, "Till the day I die." What are
Right.
you talking about? Like, we had that discussion before I married you. Like, you will never have like, don't ever make me choose.
You can always lose that battle.
Yeah, like I'm gonna do what I have to do to be a good partner, like help out any way that I can. But like, you're an artist, like,
Yeah.
and we had an understanding. But
Right.
I
Right.
remember before I got married, like we had those conversations, and he was just like, I just don't want you to be in debt, and I understand it. Like I don't either.
Yeah, yeah,
You got to work things out, and we got to work together.
of course.
But sometimes, as an artist, like you feel so alone.
Yes.
And I remember I've had to make those phone calls to some of my artist friends that are doing the same thing that I had, because I just got frustrated and I would be in tears, like I don't know what to do, like I don't want to give this up. I feel like some of the closest people to me don't may not see not necessarily don't believe in me, but because I'm not moving the pace where they think that I should or where I should be, like maybe they're looking at me like, well, what are you doing? And that's a really hard place to be in. So, and I've had other actors, because I didn't drop everything and move to LA where it's a lot more expensive. And they asked me, what am I doing? And I was working at the time I was working for a mortgage company, and they were like, oh, and it was just awkward. I was just like, okay, well,
All right.
okay,
Nice
you
talking
know,
to you.
kudos to your journey. Sorry, I'm not doing everything the way that you do, but yeah, like it's so important to have people in your circle that support you. Like when I tell you it's
Yeah,
so important, like
talk
mentally, to have that support system, because not everybody understands and not everybody is
most
on
people.
your team.
Yeah, most people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll never forget, even when after I did my SCAD show, like I got so many really good reviews and like feedback from people that saw my senior show. But one person I was very close to, like he actually wrote a blog about my show. And I think it was something I can't quote it because I don't remember everything, but pretty much it was like it was cringeworthy, and it was like I was doing a stereotypical like black female role or whatever, because I based my show off of the movie, one of my favorite movies, Waiting to Exhale.
Okay.
And I had just gone through a breakup
Oh,
before, like during that show. So
yeah.
when I tell you I was focused and I put my
Every-
heart and soul, like everything, I wrote a lot of the monologue. Like I pulled monologues from other things. Like I pulled some things from the movie. I wrote some of my own stuff. I directed it. You know what it's like putting together your own show.
Everything.
And like every day I was having a breakdown. I was in tears. I was so stressed out because I just wanted everything to be perfect.
Yeah.
And to have somebody that and
It,
this is
look,
another thing. You cannot expect everybody to like your work. And
yes.
I'm not gonna call them a hater, but they did not like it. And I did not and I literally was in tears, like bawling my eyes out when I read his blog, because I'm just like, we're friends. Like, what are you doing? But then I had to understand, like, not
Yeah.
everybody is gonna see things the way that you are,
Nope.
even if you were close, and you have to understand that.
Nope.
So I've had, like I said, I've had a lot of hard lessons. I've definitely had a lot of naysayers, haters, people that, don't see things the way that I see it. So it's a hard pill to swallow, but
Yes.
you can't live for other people. You have to live for you. Um, and I mean, that's just the reality. You can't make everybody happy, and not everybody, and you can be the nicest person in the world. You can be the most talented person in the world. I just read somebody's status that said that they didn't think Denzel Washington was a great actor. And she has every right to have that opinion. Do I disagree? Absolutely. But I mean, hey, who am I to tell her who she can and can't like? So I
Right.
mean,
Perspective
can't please everybody.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
You can't. It's perspective, and it's just sometimes, it, like you said, it's very hard to just say like, I know sometimes you get those moments. It's kind of like, well, what did you see that I didn't like? Explain to me. You want to like show me where I'm missing, because obviously we on different pages. But
Right.
it's sometimes it's just a matter of, it doesn't matter if you explain it, you break it down, you share your passion, your vision. People are not going to always get it, and you have to be okay with that. The sad part
Absolutely.
is some of those people are people that you know, that you're close with, your friends, your family members, people that you thought were really tight with you. You're thinking they're cheering you on, but a lot of times people just want to see you fail. And it's
Oh
not
yeah.
because you've done anything in particular, but success is very subjective, right? And people like to project what their view of success or doing something correct on you. So if I
All
say,
the
hey,
time.
success to me is you on TV and you could have done 5 Broadway plays and shows and had sold out audience, for months. And they're like, but you're not on TV, right? So it's like if you find yourself trying to live for other people or follow their narrative, you're gonna be drained. You're never gonna please everybody. You be switching and you have no identity. So I'd rather say, fuck it, I'm gonna do me. And
That part.
it's up to you, however you see. I feel like once you do your work, it ain't on me no more, right? I've done my part. I've done all my homework. I performed my piece. I've done whatever. Like it's on you because you're not going to be able to change those people. You should
Exactly.
got to be secure. Like, hey, I done my part. It's cool, and like I said,
Exactly.
it ain't easy. And I think it hurts
Mm-mm.
more when it's people you know.
Oh, it
That's
absolutely hurts.
you look
I've
at him like you
bawled so many
know
times.
me. You know all the things I've been doing. Do you know what I had to do to pull this together? And for you to, oh my gosh, it hurts.
Yeah.
It
It
hurts.
like hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like, damn, do you even know me? Like, this is yeah. So I definitely understand, what you're saying with that part. And then if you look at now, right? 2020
Hmm.
has been a crazy year for various reasons, right? And for everyone, everyone has been
Yeah.
affected one way or the other. From people dying, losing family members, to getting sick, to jobs, education, like everything, racial injustice, social injustice, all types of things have been going on. As an artist, have you felt like that COVID has helped you as far as being as an artist? Because I know with me, it's giving me a time to kind of sit back and think about what's really important to me. And even had given me more time to think like, do I really care about this subject matter or this or whatever? I felt like it gave me a opportunity to kind of sit back and think like, what is it that I really want to say or do or anything? How has it been for you as far as with COVID?
Oh my God. Well, first I will say that it has definitely been a challenging year for me. Probably one of the most challenging years for me. But I will say this. Um, being in a time where there's a pandemic and you're forced in Washington state, like everything's pretty much shut down here.
Yeah.
You like there is no going out, and just out of respect for my partner, because I can't only think about myself. I'm a frontline worker, right? I'm an essential worker,
Yeah.
and I'm going to school. Like I'm going to campus. There is no social distancing in the field that I'm in. So
Yeah.
I'm putting my husband's health and mine at risk every day, right? And I still have to go to clinicals. I still have to go to hospital. Like one of the hospitals that I was assigned to during my observational clinical, they literally had an outbreak in the surgical department like 10 days prior to when I got sent out there, and somebody died.
Wow.
So it's a lot. It's very stressful. It's scary. A
Yeah.
lot of prayers, a lot of optimism. But as an artist, I felt like either I can sit in this and feel sorry for myself and fall into a deep depression, or I can use this time and energy to be productive.
Yes.
So although I may not be shooting now, I can be working on things. So one thing that I have been working on, a new project that I want to do, I'm actually putting together a podcast, and my goal has been to launch it sometime next year. So I have been a lot of my personal experiences that I actually use towards my web series that I started writing on. I'm using a lot of that same content for my podcast. And I want my audience to be, women of color. It can be people of color, and talking about different experiences working all these different careers. Because as we discussed, like I've worked so many different jobs, I've been through so many weird situations. And I'm just like, I can't be the only one. And I want to get involved with my listeners as well. So that's something I've been working on.
Nice.
Um, I have a colleague that I have been communicating with during this time. And hopefully after graduation, I'm hoping to fly out to LA, and she already sent me a treatment. We came up with this idea. I can't go too much into the details, but it's something that we were both inspired by, and it literally started off as an idea that I was telling her like, "Oh, I would love to do something like this." And then next thing I know, she brought me a treatment. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's
Let's
do
go.
it." So, yeah, and I actually it was a little painful as far as artistically, because this year I actually got another lead role for an action film. I've always wanted to do an action movie.
Mhm.
And she was this badass character, like a leader of this woman gang. And I put in, like, when I tell you I did my character breakdown, my homework, I put in everything. I got the lead role and everything. And then COVID happened.
Yes.
And then the director moved to LA and everything. And he was just like, "Well, if I decide, but I'm like, dang, it's probably not gonna happen." But I was so excited. I was so
Yes.
happy. I remember when I got the email, I broke down into tears because, like you say, you get rejected so much. So it's like when you finally get a victory, like you take that win. And I was so excited. And then it didn't happen. So I was just like, well, what else can I do?
Yeah.
So
No.
so other than other than like studying, because a lot of my schooling right now is very time consuming and the program is not easy, especially with someone, I really don't have much of a medical background. So it's a lot that I have to learn.
Yeah.
And so most of my focus is there, but literally as soon as I had my winter break, I just went right, like any chance that I can, like I'm
Okay.
like juggling things. So
Sure.
although I'm on my break, I'm not really not doing anything. I may take a day to relax and not
Right.
do anything, but I'm always working
That's
because being idle, like you can't get anything done that way. Like you have
right.
to move forward and you have to put in the time and you have to sacrifice.
Yes.
So I am really excited about the podcast. I had another person reach out to me that possibly he wants to do a another production. His stuff has actually reached like BET, which is pretty awesome. And
Yes.
he was just like, "I think you're really talented. I've known him since high school. And I'm really hoping that we can, get some things in the work there.
Yeah.
Who knows what the future holds, but
Of course.
I'm hoping that as soon as I graduate, once I get my schedule, I'm honestly ready to travel. So I'm looking at it not as a way to like I say, feel sorry for myself or just give up on everything,
Yeah.
but I'm planning and I am trying to get ready because next year I'm ready to like really start putting in the work. Yeah.
I feel it.
And yeah, and with my new salary as a scrub tech, like the pay is about to be pretty awesome.
Right.
So
Be
I
best
want
yourself.
to, yeah, I'm already trying to, like, I already reached out to Susan Batson's studio in Manhattan.
Mhm.
And I would love to study, like do some workshops under theirs. And I was like, "Do you guys like take, because I know for a lot of the workshops you have to actually be invited,
Right.
but I'm ready to learn. I'm
Keep
ready to put
pushing.
in the work.
Yeah, get out there.
I'm
I,
ready."
I love it. I love it. It's nice to hear that you are using this opportunity to really make something because I know, like I said,
Yeah.
this is a different time and it's not like it's just one person, like everyone is affected one way or the
Oh
other.
yeah.
And so it's great to hear that you're got some things in the work, got some things
Mhm.
tucked, prepared. Of course, we would definitely be looking out for those things. But before I let you go, I have to ask, what is it that you want people to know about Whitney Kaye? Or even what do you want to leave the people with? This is this is your opportunity to talk directly to the people. I'll just go ahead and be quiet and let you do your thing. Go ahead.
Well, I want people to know that I am genuinely a person that feeds off of connecting with others. Like I've always been a people person, and I all I want to do is tell my story and I just want to be remembered for my work. All the other stuff, that's cool or whatever, but like I just want to leave this earth saying that Whitney was here and she got to do what she wanted to do. And I routine scares me when it comes to routine, like just like working, going home, sleeping, eating, shitting, or whatever, doing it all over again. That scares me. So, like, that drive, that shit is real. And I'm ready. Like, I just want to have something to show for it. That's all. And I want people, if you love it, hate it, whatever, like, I just want to have get a reaction, and I want to I want it to be something that can affect someone.
Yes. Nice, nice. Shout out to you, Whitney Kate. So
Thank you, thank you.
let you go. Can you, if somebody wanna to follow you or holler at you, can you leave your handles or where they can reach you at?
All right. So my website is whitneykay.org. As far as my Instagram, I did recently change it because I think somebody tried to hack into my page. So give me just one moment. Don't laugh
Oh
at
no.
me. But it is WHIT underscore WHITK. So if you request to follow me, you can do that. And I also have my actor page on Facebook, Whitney Kay. So Whitney Kay, Whitney Kay, Whitney
Hey,
Kay.
Whitney Kate. That's what's up. So
Yeah.
before I let you go, I want to personally thank you for taking part of this journey with me as we just have these real conversations with artists. It was definitely my goal to make sure I tapped in with people that I know that are doing things that are artists. And I feel like I know dope artists to do dope things. So what better way to show love to them than to give them a platform to speak freely about some of the things they've been going through and just their journey. So I thank you 1,000 times for taking a part and just believing in my vision that I have for this. And thank you. Thank you.
It's
Thank
my
you.
absolute pleasure. Thank you. This has been fun. It's so nice to see you. It's been like forever.
Of
Other
course.
than watching you, what you do on Instagram and Facebook, but I'm like, it is so nice to talk to my fellow scatty. Like, it's
Right,
just
right.
refreshing.
Cool. So yes, thank you again, Whitney K. I'll make sure that when we actually drop it, I'll drop you all your links and everything right there
Okay.
below. But thank you guys for tuning in, and we will definitely catch y'all next
J
week. Thank
Keys.
y'all.